Good morning. Chillie with Chillie's Cruises here with travel and cruise industry news on this, the 24th day of October, 2019. Try to get things lined up a little better here. Welcome to all this morning. This is one of our 3 times a week that we go live with travel and cruise industry news. Got several stories to cover this morning. And by the way, I was just chatting with one of our subscribers online about the Carnival Ecstasy, and he said that he had been on it twice when it was in Miami, and if he ever came back to Miami, he'd go again. Well, I just pulled up the Ecstasy schedule in case you're watching me. I pulled up the Ecstasy schedule, and she's scheduled solely in Jacksonville until April of 22. So permanently attached to Jacksonville now is the Carnival Ecstasy. I hope to do that, the Carnival Ecstasy late next year. So anyway, back to this morning. Before we get to the main story today, which is on Oasis of the Seas, this is an alert that just came in literally a few minutes ago on weather situation. A tropical development, tropical wave, as classified at this point, they've increased the possibility of development to 30% now. It's located near the Yucatan Peninsula and will move into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico over the next couple of days. Over the next 5 days, the disturbance is expected to track north and then veer off to the northeast. Right now, it's looking like it would be aimed toward the Gulf Coast, possibly as far east as the Panhandle. However, and this is a very similar situation to Nestor. What was that, 10 days ago or so? Very similar looking system at this point. It depends on how big of a hook when it makes the right hand turn as to whether Central and South Florida could be affected by this. Right now, it looks like it's probably headed more toward the Gulf Coast. But anyway, it's worth watching. Could develop further. We'll know more over the next 24 to 48 hours. So one to watch, and this, of course, is not even named or anything yet. This is just a tropical wave. That's not even a tropical disturbance. I don't understand all that classification stuff they do. Anyway, but I'm a little dumb. So I just follow the weather, see what happens, and report it when something goes on that might affect some of our cruises. All right, top story this morning. And my friend Bruce had this on his broadcast last night. The Oasis of the Seas. You know, when it first came out back in 2009, the Oasis of the Seas by Royal Caribbean had changed basically the way we look at cruise ships. It was the first of, had a lot of things on it. It had a zip line. It had the AquaTheater. It had 7 unique neighborhoods. Well, the Oasis of the Seas is in the middle of a $165 million transformation. And Royal Caribbean says it's going to change the game of cruising again when it sets sail on Caribbean cruises starting in November. It will have new thrills, new areas, new restaurants, more entertainment. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on this one. Of course, the Oasis of the Seas is a huge, huge ship. But a lot of things being added to it as far as restaurants and so forth go. New eateries and restaurants will include Portside Barbecue, El Loco Fresh, which is the Mexican new Royal Caribbean restaurant, Playmaker Sports Bar and Arcade, where you can feast on sliders and the like, and craft brews while you're cheering on your favorite team. They're changing the pool area. They're changing the slides. There's just a lot of stuff going on the Oasis. The new slide is called the Ultimate Abyss, a serpentine 216-foot slide that sends you racing from deck 16 to deck 6 in 13 seconds. You'll also find the Perfect Storm, a trio of water slides that are super fun for you and your kids can race each other. Anyway, the one of the things that I'm looking forward to on the ship is the advent of the lime and coconut, which is the new pool bar. So that's looking really good. So the Oasis of the Seas going through a major refurbishment, and we'll see what it looks like in a couple more weeks as it starts sailing again when they finish everything up. But this is a major refurbishment, a major change to a major ship. So we'll see how Royal Caribbean does with that one, and if it does meet the anticipation of changing the game. So an odd story that crept up yesterday. A transatlantic flight had to divert to Ireland when crew members reportedly were left unconscious due to spilled cleaning fluids mid-flight. This was an American Airlines flight, which was flying from London Heathrow to Philadelphia, and it had to make an emergency landing in Dublin, Ireland, due to the smell from a spilled cleaning solution in the galley. Several passengers complained of burning eyes and itchy skin. 2 crew members and 1 passenger were taken to the hospital for evaluation, which that was confirmed by American. Medical personnel have met the aircraft to evaluate any other crew members and passengers. Ironically, it's not the first time that a flight has been diverted due to spillage. Last month, an aircraft was on a transatlantic flight when one of the pilots spilt a cup of coffee on his, I think it was his audio board in the cockpit, and they had to divert because he didn't have audio control. So the second time in a month that some kind of spillage has caused a problem on a transatlantic flight. That was American Airlines yesterday. The Carnival Mardi Gras will be, when it comes out next year, will be the first LNG fueled cruise ship that will sail from U.S. ports. And the Mardi Gras is going to be sailed out of Port Canaveral. Carnival is doing some work right now on the bunkering operation, the fueling of the ship. Because there are several in the Carnival Corporation fleet of ships have the LNG fuel. They've started this, have bunkering operations in several European locations. So they've got some basis to go by in setting this up. Apparently, Shell is going to be providing the fuel. The operations in Europe, Tenerife, and Barcelona that are covering the European market with the LNG ships. This is a wave of the future. It's much cleaner, much better for the environment than the fuels that have been used in cruise ships forever. Of the next 21 ships that Carnival Corporation, now that's all of the cruise lines that Carnival owns, half of them are LNG ships. So you're talking about some major changes. One of the problems with the loading of fuel onto the vessel that's going to have to take some planning ahead is it takes longer. It can take 6 to 8 hours to fuel one of these ships. So that's going to cause some problems in scheduling, probably in how long they're in port. There's some barging of the fuel that has to take place. I'm not sure I understand all that. But anyway, they're working on it. So by the time we see the Mardi Gras in next fall, a year from now, I'm sure they'll have it safely set up and ready to go. But anyway, it's a wave of the future. And so it's something that I guess everybody's going to be getting used to with our cruise ships. And, certainly it's something that we need. The improvement of the exhaust from a cruise ship, the greenhouse gas reduction. So wave of the future. So that's a good thing. It's going to cause some changes. When the Carnival Panorama debuts later this year, it's going to feature one of the most unique party spaces at sea. The first ever trampoline park at sea, known as Skasome, will offer a variety of options for guests of all ages, but there's a fee going to be attached. Does that not surprise me? This will be located on decks 6 and 7 of the Panorama, and it's a big space that's going to have all kinds of trampolines. A lot of this is for kids. They'll have programs for 3 different age groups: toddlers, 6 months old to 5 years old, kids between 6 and 14, and those of 15 years and older. An hour session will be $5 per child and $5 per adult and older kids. And then at night, they're going to have black lighting. It's going to cost like $18 and include probably a t-shirt or something for anybody that participates. So you'll get something for the $18 other than just being in this trampoline area. So something new coming out on the Panorama. The Panorama is going to be based in Los Angeles, actually in Long Beach, but the Los Angeles market. We've talked about her several times before. She'll be offering 7-day cruises to the Mexican Riviera permanently. And that starts in mid-December of this year. So we'll be seeing the Panorama soon. One of the ships I hope to sail on next year, by the way. I've done the Mexican Riviera a bunch of times, 3 times, 4 times, 3 times. But I like the chance to do it on the Panorama. And a story that came out a couple days ago. I'm sure by now you've heard about it if you follow cruise news in the Caribbean at all. Carnival and Royal Caribbean have come to an agreement with the folks in St. Lucia on a joint venture to manage existing cruise pier and terminal facilities, to design, construct, and operate a new cruise port on the island. This is going to be started. Work will start on it soon. So St. Lucia is going to have some major improvements, and Carnival and Royal Caribbean will be working together on that one. So one of the ports that's, I love the island. The port facilities kind of suck, but St. Lucia is a gorgeous place, and I could see with the right kind of facilities how that could increase traffic there a bunch. So good for them. That's great. That's really all the news this morning. At least we had a couple news items, and so we've got to start watching the weather again. We got some folks on here. Hey, Bonnie, every 3-star Muir is here this morning. China is building an LNG port in British Columbia. Oh, I didn't know that. Goodness. And Jason, welcome aboard. Good to see you this morning. So everybody that's in the audience, of course, as always, appreciate your being here. By the way, in Virginia, it's cold. We had frost warnings last night. I don't know if I haven't been outside yet. Our house guest went home last night. So Brat the cat and I are back with out a house guest at the farm currently. So I didn't have to go out and walk the dog this morning, which was, I've been doing the last few days while we had the house guest. Of course, Brat the cat didn't want anything to do with that. So anyway, it's cold. We had frost warnings. Needless to say, wearing long sleeves and stuff instead of my normal t-shirt fare. I will be doing some more pet sitting this morning. As a matter of fact, I've got 4 or 5 more days till the niece gets home to take back over her business and give me a break until she leaves again around Thanksgiving. But anyway, if you're still thinking about going on either the Zooterdam on February the 1st or the Carnival sunrise on February 8th, I think it is, let me know. That's the 2 cruises I'm going on back to back in February. Love to have you along. Love to have some friends on board. That would be cool. And have a good time. So that's it for this morning. I will see you guys again Saturday. And of course, if anything major creeps up or happens between now and then, we'll get a video up or go live again. We'll be back on the air in this space on Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, coming to you from Forest, Virginia, in Bedford County near Lynchburg. I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. If you'd like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, my interview show is called Chillie Chats. And of course, travel and cruise industry news Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Hit the little subscribe button down here someplace in the lower right-hand corner. The bell notification will let you know when I go live or when I post a new video. And as always, appreciate a thumb up. That's always good to let YouTube know that somebody actually is watching and cares. So that's it for this morning. I'll talk to you guys really soon. This is Chillie with Chillie's Cruises. Later, y'all.